What's happening, YouTube? This is Robert, and this is my second video in my HTML series. In the last one, we just got your environment set up, and in this one, we're just going to go over some real basic information, and in the next video, we'll actually jump into all the code, so this is the last of the boring stuff for you guys. If you do want to skip this video, totally understand. Go ahead and jump to the next one. So what is HTML? It's hypertext markup language. It structures web pages using markup and builds them with blocks of elements or tags, which are the building blocks of HTML. Now, browsers don't display the tags, they just read the information and structure the web page accordingly. So let's talk about syntax. This is the language of the page. Konnichiwa and hello essentially mean the same thing semantically. They mean hello, but konnichiwa is written right here this way, whereas hello is written this way. And so syntactically, or in the syntax of the way they're written, they have different syntax, but the semantic meaning is largely the same. And in programming, it's the similar thing. So when somebody says the syntax is incorrect, they might mean the way that it's written for the particular language is incorrect. And if you look at this H1, it's an entire tag, and this is how we would say hello inside of that content in HTML. But in JavaScript, in order to say hello, you might have to create that element first and then go into the document, find it by the ID, and that ID might be hello in this case, and then inside of that HTML, in the inner HTML, we actually print out hello. So this is the syntax of JavaScript, which would be slightly different than the syntax of HTML. So browser instructions. A doc type is not an HTML tag. It's an instruction to the web browser about the HTML version. And so in this case, we're talking about HTML5, which is the latest version. And this document type is always going to be first in the document before the HTML tag. We'll go ahead and cover this way more in depth in a future video, but for now just know that it's not case sensitive, but most people type it out as the doc type, all caps, HTML, and this is the primary one that you're going to be using. Now, the root element is the HTML element itself, and it defines the whole document. It contains content which are built with other elements to structure that document. The body element defines the document body. Again, this is built with elements inside of it as content to really build out that document body structure. The head element is a container for metadata. It's data about the document data. It's inserted after the HTML opening tag but before the body tag. And it can have a title inside of it. It could define the character set, styles, links to other pages, scripts to help improve your code, which again, we're going to talk about all this stuff in detail in a future video. If you look at this H1, we have an opening angle bracket, looks like a less than sign, or the greater than sign, which is also a closing angle bracket. And then we define what the element is. This is an opening tag altogether. Over here, we have an opening angle bracket, a closing angle bracket, but then we have this / defining where this closing tag ends the element. So the entire element is the H1 with all of the content in there. This content in between this opening tag and this closing tag is what we're displaying. The web browser is not going to give you any of this information. It's going to display this, and it's not going to show you this, but this does tell the browser how to read it. As you can see, a paragraph tag is the same thing. You can have a paragraph of content, we have an opening tag and a closing tag. Some elements, however, do not have opening and closing tags. They're called self-closing tags. And again, we're going to get into detail on this later, but the point is that it opens and it tells opening angle bracket tells you what the element type is, and then the type is an attribute, and then the checkbox is the value of that attribute. And so at the end you see the / and the closing angle bracket, which tells our browser that everything that we need is within this element itself. We don't need content after. It's going to tell us everything we need right there. Now, bringing all that together, we have boilerplate HTML here. And this is what you need to start every document, minus the H1 tag in there. The title is somewhat optional, but this is the general setup that you guys are going to encounter. So you have your doc type declaration, tells the browser we're dealing with HTML5. Then we have that root element, HTML element, with a language attribute. And inside the language attribute, we have English as the value, or EN as the value. And then we have the head with the metadata. And this gives us a title that says my page. And then it ends that head tag, opens up the body, and then we start displaying our content. And we're going to get into some more of these attributes and what the values are. In this case, we say the style attribute would change the background color to red. And if that was the case, the letters would stay the same color, but there's a little box that contains those letters, and the background would change to red. And again, we're going to get into that very soon. So here's a quick example. If you go to Google, up here at the top, they have a title, Google, up here in this tab. And what that is this is the head tab, that metadata that we were talking about. Inside the title, you're going to see Google here. And over here, down here, we have all of the body content. So this is where all of our body content will be displayed. And for now, guys, that's it. I will see you in the next video. If you have any questions or any comments, go ahead and comment below, and I will see you soon.